Okay, good evening, everyone. With that, we'll get started. We have a really jam-packed agenda this evening, so thanks everybody for being here. I think the first order of the evening is to have a quick review of the minutes and vote on that approval. And I have the treasurer's report. And then we can move on to our special guest this evening. So do I have a motion or any questions or discussion about the minutes? Motion to approve.
Aye.
That was you, Ben. And second, please.
Second.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Jasmine. Okay, the minutes are approved and ready to go. And then Ben, if you can give us the treasurer's report, then we'll be ready for the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Sure. For the general fund, we have $1,528.85 with a contribution of $50.13 for the month. And in the Lurk account is $1,425.36.
Great, thank you. Okay, okay, so we're going to move right into our best guests who are speaking this evening. And you have the draft agenda. It's not necessarily in any particular order. So I think that we have Elsa, is it Batras Boni?
You got it right.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Good guess. Elsa is with the Seattle City Redistricting Commission and has agreed to talk with us this evening about, to provide an update on that and a little bit of information about how those of us who may be interested can participate in that process. So she has a quick presentation for us, and then if there are any questions, we'll take those. So Elsa, do you have a slide presentation?
I do. Thank you so much. For some reason, I thought I'd go later, but I am happy to put it together.
Oh,
In just a second. Just give me a second. I just came from another presentation, so.
well, if you would like, we can actually, Matt Kelly is here from the Queen Anne Farmers Market, and we can have Matt talk first if that gives you a few
Please
minutes.
do that as
Okay.
I get it together so we don't lose time. I appreciate that.
All right, that's great. So Matt Kelly, everybody knows from the Queen Anne Farmers Market. And Matt, we're gonna let you talk to us about what's on the agenda for this season.
Super. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all, those of you on video. Thanks for coming tonight. My name is Matt Kelly. I'm the Executive Director of the Queen Anne Farmers Market. I do apologize. I'm getting over a sinus infection, so if I'm not coming through clear and any details may be missed, I can follow up on chat or email. I'm excited to talk to you tonight about our 2022 market season. Opening day is set for June 2nd this year. We will operate a 20-week market season on Thursdays from 3 to 7:30. So we'll be open through October 13th. And then we'll host 3 harvest markets on Saturdays in October, November, and December. Saturday before Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Those markets will be hosted from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Just looking for my slide advance here. So some details about opening day on June 2nd. We'll be ringing in our opening bell with the Executive Director of the Washington State Farmers Market Association, Colleen Donovan, at 3 o'clock. From there, we'll be hosting over 60 different farms and food businesses to participate all season long, including prepared food businesses. We obviously in the last 2 years have gone through quite a bit in trying to keep our community safe with COVID, and prepared food businesses were excluded for the better part of those 2 years. We'll also be hosting a weekly kids programming booth called the Roots to Shoots program. We'll be hosting our 2-Bite Challenge every week. That program's open from 4 to 6:30. We're encouraging kiddos ages 6 through 12 to join us at the kids booth to try fruit and vegetable provided by one of our farms, seasonal produce, depending on the time of the season. Once they've done that 2-bite challenge, tried a taste of that fruit and vegetable for the market day, they're given a root buck, which is a $2 coupon that's good to spend at any of our farms. It's a really awesome program that serves over 500 children throughout the market season, and we're really pleased to have that program back at the top of the market season. Every week, including opening day, we will also be hosting live music from 4 to 6:30 from musicians and artists here in the Queen Anne neighborhood and greater Seattle region. We're also hosting the community tent, where we'll have local nonprofit or community group tabling and meeting with market goers every week, as well as our sponsor booths that are going to be there to chat with our shoppers as well. Here's a little bit more about the demographics of the Queen Anne Farmers Market. If you attended last May's Queen Anne Community Council meeting, this may look familiar to you, but our demographics have not changed. They're very static. We serve vast majority of shoppers are within 3 miles of the market site. If you haven't attended the Queen Anne Farmers Market before, we're located on West Crockett Street and Queen Anne Avenue, just across the street from the Safeway and Trader Joe's. In a given market season, we typically host about 68,000 market goers in our 20-week season. This number does not include our harvest market attendance. So we're sort of the place to be on Thursday nights in Queen Anne. We definitely saw a drop of attendance in 2020 and 2021, and we're on our way back towards our 110,000 attendees in a market season that we saw in 2019. So for your reference, we had just over 25,000 shoppers with us in the peak of the pandemic in 2020, certainly on our upward trend back with 68,000 attendees last summer. We're really pleased to bring back our harvest markets. This was a new expansion of the market in 2021. The harvest markers will be on Saturdays, October 29th, November 19th, and December 17th. We had a really fabulous outpouring of support and attendance from shoppers on those days. It was really fun to see folks at the market on a Saturday morning. It's a totally different setting for us, and our farmers were really pleased to see the community's support, and we were very fortunate to have really good weather for 2 of those 3 days. So fingers crossed for 3 out of 3 this year. Now, everyone's going to kind of like lean into their screen at this point, because here's the vendor roster for the season. We just announced that on Saturday at Queen Anne Frame, where we popped up to share our full vendor roster and preview our poster, which I'll share in the next slide or so. As you can see, it's a pretty stacked lineup of many familiar names. Anyone highlighted in green here on this list are new businesses for us. We're really looking forward to hosting a couple of new farms and farms that may have not been with us for the last several years that are returning to Queen Anne. In total, we have 63 vendors with us on the roster for this season. So really looking forward to these folks joining us. They count on the Queen Anne community to help them build business every week, and the Queen Anne community counts on them to keep their refrigerators and cupboards full. So I'll have this vendor list posted to our website, QAFM.org, shortly, and we do expect for the majority of our vendor roster to be at the farmers market weekly. Something that I want to share here about our prepared food is we had typically rotated food trucks on our weekly basis. This year, our food trucks will be with us every week. So the food trucks that you see on one Thursday, you can expect to see the following Thursday. That was based on feedback from our shoppers and our food trucks that really wanted to be with us in the community on a weekly basis. So we're really looking forward to that. A little bit of information about our reach. We are a pretty busy organization, outward facing communications on our website. email and social media. We put up a seasonal poster every year in advance of the market season and have a regular newsletter, which goes out quite frequently as we build towards the market season, and then weekly throughout the market season. So you can get regular updates of what's coming to market and what's fresh and what's new. It's also where we share details about our programming, any music or activities coming up. Here's just a fun little collage of the market season. We really look forward to having folks join us again this year. If you haven't been to the market before, this is going to be a really fabulous season. I mentioned our poster series. We have our second poster in our 4-part series that we're working with local artist and illustrator Aaron Bagley. That poster has now officially been released, and we'll be posting that in the neighborhood in this week or so. Posters are a really fun way to reawaken spring energy and get folks excited for our market season. We have fun little cameos of farmers market characters and maybe even community members that you've seen at market making appearances in the poster, and we're really looking forward to sharing that art in the community. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our sponsors for our 2022 season, really active businesses on Queen Anne that are engaged in the community and supporting this vital community market. Our presenting sponsors this year are David Rice of Edward Jones, Metropolitan Market, and Aegis Living. Also happening today and yesterday is Give Big. The Queen Anne Farmers Market is a 501c3 independent nonprofit organization that raises over 40% of our operating budget every year from individual donations and sponsorships. So if you've got your smartphone handy, feel free to scan this, and we sure would appreciate your support. Here's my contact information and our social media page, and a moving image of our previous season's posters. If you have any questions, I'll be hanging around. Feel free to message me in the chat. I know this is a really busy agenda with lots of speakers scheduled, and I appreciate everyone's time tonight. Hope to see you at market.
Thanks, Matt, very much. That's great. If you can stop your screen share, and feel free to put your contact information in the chat. And if you can share those slides with me in email, I'll make sure that they're posted on our website, and that way everybody can see them. We'll look forward to seeing you at the market on June 9th, which is the date that the Queen Anne Community Council will be at the community booth. So thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. Any questions for Matt? It just makes me hungry to look at the slides. So, okay, great. Thanks again. And now we'll go to our other guest speaker, Elsa Batras-Boni.
Yes, thank
There
you.
you are. Thank you.
I'm right here. And if I could share my screen, I think I
Absolutely.
need permission.
Hold on just one second. I'm trying to make sure that you.
Yes, thank you. I am glad I heard that when the farmers market's happening in Queen Anne.
Yeah. Are you able to screen share now?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna share my, it is, are you looking at my screen?
We are.
Great. So what I have for you today, it's a brief presentation of what is the Seattle redistricting process. And my name is Elsa Batras-Boni. You got my pronunciation right. I am a staff liaison with this commission. I work for the Department of Neighborhoods. And this commission is a commission that is only happening throughout this year. And so it's the information that I will be sharing with you is relevant for this year. So I am actually having problems with my screen. Let's see. Are you seeing my second screen, my second slide?
No, let me see if I, yeah.
There?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, great. So what is the what is redistricting? So This is just a reminder of how our election system works for the city of Seattle. We have 9 council members, but we have 7 districts. And this is something that happened in the last years. By 2022, I mean 3, what's going to happen is that we are going to have new lines in the districts. And by November of 2023, the 7 city council seats will be vacant and voters must decide who will represent them. So that means that 2023 is going to be a fun year for elections. Every single council member, except for the 2 at large, will be either campaigning for their position or having new candidates running as well for those positions. And why is that happening? It's happening because of redistricting. So what does that mean? Mike, I apologize that this is not working that well. Basically, redistricting is changing the boundaries of the council districts to reflect the change of population. So this happens every 10 years after the 2020 census. So now that we know how many people are in Seattle, we can then do this process to make sure that each one of these districts has the same amount of people. So one council member represents the same amount of folks. So basically the way in which the city works and the way that you or this commission decides the new lines, it's a process that will determine who represents you in city council. So what is needed for redistricting? What is the next steps? So we need 4 elements. We need the census results, like I said, to make sure that we know what the population is. We need a commission, which is made out of 5 Seattle residents. 2 of them were appointed by the previous mayor, 2 of them were appointed by the previous council, and the 5th one was appointed by the commission. We need mapping tools, technical expertise, and rules, and we need the public participation. So who is the commission? The commission is, we have this 5 residents, they're all volunteers. They got a small stipend, and they are going to be making decisions throughout the year. They have been working on a series of guidelines and principles to work on this process, but what they want to make sure is that they want to be transparent about how it's working, and you can meet with them or attend the meetings every Tuesday from 12 to 1:30. I'm going to post and send information about our website, which is seattleredistricting.gov, where you can find out information about when are those meetings. All of them are public meetings. So what are those rules? And after we find out, how are they going to be changing these lines? So each one of these districts has to be contiguous and compact. It means that this districts cannot be a little piece of District 7 here and then another piece of District 2. And it has to be a big chunk of land, and they are supposed to be contiguous as well. The key piece is that they have to have approximately the same population by 1%. They have to follow, when possible, existing district boundaries. They have to recognize waterways and geographic boundaries. This is a challenge, especially for District 7, District 1, because there's this gigantic piece of water surrounding the district. And they have to recognize communities and neighborhoods. And that's why I'm here, to make sure that if any of these lines are going to be impacting your district, your community, your interests, the commission wants to know. And of course, in drawing the plan, neither the commission or the GIS consultant can consider anyone's residence for this process. So let me go quickly to the 2020 census results. I will send you more links for you to go into detail, but this is to show you that the total population of the city of Seattle as of 2020 was about 737,000 people. So where and how the population grew. So I've been wanting to come and talk to you because there's District 7 had the largest growth in population of the city of Seattle. And you can tell me why. I always ask people from all the districts and they have their guesses, but I'm sure you all know that there was a huge growth in development and planning, and so many people moved to the District 7 in the last 10 years. And so as you can see in the left, the darker area color, the darker colors mean the biggest growth. And in the right hand, we have the sidebar that shows us for how much. So in total, Seattle grew about 21% since 2010. But if you see District 7 grew enormously. It was, it went, every district had about the same amount of people. And right now, District 7 has about 123,000 people. What does this mean? So what this means is that it's a basic math, right? So if we have 7 districts and we have about 737,000 people, then we each district has to have about 105,000 people each. And so with that math, we know that District 1, 2, 5, and 6 need to get bigger. In Districts 3, 4, and of course 7 have to contract. So where you move those lines, that's the key of the redistricting process. So for District 7, we have about 18,000 people where the line has to go over. So that chunk of, it could be land and population could either be part now of District 6, 4, 3, or even 2, or even 1. It could be divided depending on what the map is going to be. So we are right now at a moment where the commission has met since last November. Right now we're finishing up this time of information to the community. And then by starting in May 15, the commission is going to have specific public forums. And those public forums will be specific and specific for each one of the districts. And the idea is that the community can ask questions and give their opinion. I wanted to show you our ways in which you can participate. You can attend the meeting, you can attend one of the public forums, you can make a public comment. We're about to launch our survey with some maps for people's opinions and thoughts. You can email, call, request interpretation. This is outdated, but we have trainings that are recorded right now on how to draw your own map, if that's what you want to do. You can find all that information in our website. Basically, what the commission wants to know is how do current council lines represent your community? What is unique about the community where your district is? And how could the draft maps that are going to be presented may impact your community? So I just wanted to give you just a brief, the commission came up with 4 maps. They're just examples of how, based on the targeted goal of people, could look like. And so they are on our website, and also you can find this interactive map that shows you what are the potential ways in which the map can go, and if you can cross here, cross there. So I'm going to stop right there. I'll probably share with you my tool in a second. Maybe answer some questions if people have any about this process. I don't have to tell you how important it is for Queen Anne to be part of this conversation and to give feedback to the commission. So I'm going to stop presenting. I don't know if there's any questions that I may be able to answer.
Yeah, there's a question in chat. Jasmine, do you want to ask your question?
Oh, sure, I can ask. Just to clarify, are the ones that you had referred to on the second to the last slide, the GIS consultant maps or the commissioner?
Yes, I'm gonna actually share my map because I think this is important.
Yeah.
But so the commission decided to start with examples. These are not really yet the proposals that the commission has. These are examples of what could it look like, so the community has an idea of the impact that it may have. So I'm going to share with you the link to an interactive tool, and then to show you those maps. And And once I'm done, I'll put all of this in the chat. Are you looking at, what are you seeing right now? What?
Welcome to the Seattle Redistricting Interactive Map.
Oh, great. Thank you. So those are the instructions. The green lines in this map are the current council lines. If you go to layers in the bottom, you see this example maps that were based only on numbers. And as an example, the commission has not decided yet on any map to go for. They want to decide after the public forums. And so we have, for instance, this one, which the color ones are the new and proposed. This was one that was created just with numbers. And if you can see, I'm going to zoom in the places where it cuts or creates the line. It's around, all around the lake, right here in a little bit. I'm going to go to the number 2, which now adds District 3. As you can see, District 3 gets really crazy right here, gets divided into 3 new councils, but also it bites in a little bit into District 2. So you can also add layers with streets. And you can see that it's now adding this piece in this map. There's another one right here. It's still also considering this chunk of South Lake Union, which is all Denny Way up to Dexter. And what's this? Denny, Dexter, John, that area. And the 4th one, which had a lot more criteria and less just generated by numbers. This one, it's cutting on all this area, including downtown, the parts of downtown. So the questions for the community would be, how will this affect you? Is this something that the community might be interested? It's not. And the commission has not leaned into any of these maps. These are just examples, and would love for you to be a part of it. On our website, you can find all the information about the upcoming forums. For District 2, for District 7, the community forum will be the last one, which would be July 21st, which is it's Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30. And so I'm gonna stop right there. I don't know if there's any questions or if there's anything else, I'd be happy to. I'm gonna put my information on the chat too.
Great.
Somebody says prefer number 4. Yes. That's the type of information that the commission is really wanting to hear, and why.
So I posted a link to the website and everything on the Queen Anne Community Council website as well. So if you go there, you'll find it probably under general information. I'm sorry I didn't write down where I put it. But anyways, you can get to the commission's website and find the information. But I guess for me, the question would be right now, are you looking for comment and input at this point, or do you want to wait until those public meetings are held?
If anybody has anything that's burning on them, I'm happy to pass it on. And if people need to have a conversation as a group and want to send an organized proposal, that's great too. You can also send it just as an individual. The commission is really wanting and welcoming comments.
Great.
I see this. I prefer number 4 because when attending West Precinct Advisory Council, it's clear downtown, very different public safety and other challenges for the rest of the District 7. Yes, I'm gonna copy this and send it to the commission.
Great.
If you don't mind.
That's perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. We hope to see Queen Anne representing for some of this public forums.
You will. Are there any other questions for Elsa before she departs? Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's a complicated undertaking, so we appreciate the time you spent. Thank you.
Hi, Paula. Sorry, it's Deb. Can we just spend 2 minutes? I really would like to understand what is the overall impact of the redistricting? What does it impact schools? What does it impact safety? Can I get a quick scenario? Because I find it a little bit confusing. If we're just doing average of population, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm wondering, what is the overall impact?
Thank you for that question. This is for voting. This is to make sure this is going to affect who is going to and who are you going to be voting for city council. That is the only thing that is going to be impacting.
Okay, but in the long run, it has an ongoing effect, right? So if it's city council representation, then
yes,
it starts to waterfall into other areas. So I'm just trying to understand how big it is. So this is huge. You can't just say, oh, it's just for city council. No, downstream, it'll impact us in a number of different areas, correct?
and for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Which also what you need to realize is that the commission is required to consider only, well, not only, but required to consider census data. And they can check fact with other data sources, but this is the information they're going to use, and not considering, for instance, how many people are already going to be planning to be moving into the area in the next 10 years. For instance. So yes, thank you for that. It is very important, and it's going to a lot of other redistricting processes, including the school districts, sometimes taking consideration the redistricting for city council as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thanks. Anyone else have a question before we let Elsa go? Okay, great. Well, again, there's a link on the website, and I think that there may actually be a way that you can reach Elsa or someone on the commission to ask questions if you have them afterwards. So thanks very much again. We appreciate it. Great. And Ann Davison has joined us this evening. So Ann, are you there? And
I am. Thank you.
great. Thank you. So I'm going to take just a minute and do a little official introduction. Everybody probably knows, or certainly should know, who Ann is. She is the city attorney for the city of Seattle, and she's the first female city attorney, hooray, and first mom to hold the highest legal office in city Seattle government. Her career in public service began more than 30 years ago when she worked as a caseworker in the U.S. House of Representatives. And then over the past 3 decades, she has been a champion for those without a voice or power. Prior to becoming city attorney, she worked in private practice. Since 2005, she's focused on areas including civil litigation, immigration, sports, contracts, business transaction, employment, and intellectual property. She graduated with a BA from Baylor and holds her JD from Willamette University College of Law. So she sounds like she has the well-rounded background that we need in the city attorney's office. And welcome. We appreciate you being here this evening. So we'd like to hear an update from you. And then, of course, I'm sure you'll want to take questions.
Yes, thank you. It's first of all, thank you for spending your evening time being in a community and focused on your neighborhoods. It's really fantastic. Queen Anne is near and dear to my heart. It was basically my first neighborhood when I moved to town in 1996. When I did work for the Seattle Supersonics, I lived on a houseboat there in Lake Union. Then I moved to the west side of Queen Anne for some of that time. So up off Gilman and that area. So familiar with the neighborhood, and always love going back there. So thanks for having me and spending some time being civically engaged, and letting me be a few minutes late, shuttling kids to different things that the schedule changed literally 3 times since 5 o'clock. So, and so the whole point of that is to go with the flow of, sometimes we have to make the most of what we have, and then be realistic about what you can do with what you have and go forward. And so I'm really thrilled to be here to talk with you tonight about how it's been going since I've started office January 1st. And just tremendously thankful to be there, humbled to be there, and enjoy greatly the people that are there in public service long before me, many attorneys and support staff that have been part of that law department long before I showed up. And so I've spent a lot of the time early days in December meeting all of them, which I have done. I finished in about mid-January, meeting every single person that worked there. So it was important for me to understand and what they did and how they complemented the department as we work together for improving public safety and just handling things on the civil side for our city. So some notable things that I have done since I took office is I focused first to hire prosecutors, that there were many vacancies in the criminal division. So I've hired 9 prosecutors since I started. I was very intentionally and focused in involvement in that to make sure we could do it in a most efficient process. So we now have done that. And thankfully to my new criminal chief, Natalie Walton Anderson, also another mom of 3 boys. So between she and I, we like to describe ourselves as workhorses. So we have the same pace where you just, seems to be moms, you just gotta know how to get it done, right? And so we are doing that. She joined me March 1st. So she had been a prosecutor at the county, been over there for 20 something years and at the U.S. Attorney's Office. And so I was very honored that she accepted to become my criminal chief, also the first female to be the criminal chief at the Seattle City Attorney's Office. So to me, that's a big part. She's a woman of color, and to her, to be in a leadership role, I think I can say, because I've heard her say it numerous times, that to be the most impactful is to be involved. And so she's taking on the leadership of that division, and very thankful to have her and rely on her perspective on things. In the process of doing that, hiring prosecutors and her as my criminal chief, we also brought in former U.S. Attorney Brian Moran to do just an overall assessment of the criminal division and the processes, understanding what practices were there, and understanding just the operations of how things were, because there wasn't a lot of information known about the department that was available to the public. And I do consider myself even now, right, as a member of the general public, and we were on the outside trying to feel like what's not working. We just know that something's not functioning in a way to where public safety is improving, and people are getting lost and overlooked in the form of committing crimes and not getting their needs met for why that is occurring. So as we talk about the operations of the criminal division, it's been important to understand what was going on prior to us being there. And unfortunately, what had been happening was a backlog of criminal cases that was growing, which was growing pre-pandemic. It had grown significantly and then had been resolved. And then from my perspective, no changes made. And so then the backlog started to grow again. And so that's the important part to note, is that we are making sure that we understand the processes that did not work, so we do not replicate those anymore. We cannot have this miscarriage of justice where there's nearly 5,000 criminal cases waiting for a response. On average, those cases waited about 334 days. That is the average number of days a criminal case sat waiting for a response. So we announced in February to stop adding to that backlog. And so in conjunction with that, we announced a close in time filing policy where we are going to be working towards the goal, which I think we are quite at right now, is to make a response within 5 business days of when we get that police referral from Seattle Police Department. So we are shrinking it from an average of 334 days, and we're looking to do 5 business days. To close that time gap from when the crime is committed to when the response is made is really, to me, where we're going to start make the connection between when a crime is done and what we respond to with that. If it's elongated, it doesn't have a connection. So those are the 2 first policies that I implemented to start to change things of how we handle our role in the public safety circle. I do describe public safety as like a relay team at a track where my daughter just got off a track meet. So it's like, it really is like a relay team. And we are one part. And so I'm also focused on making those functioning relationships with other agencies and jurisdictions that are complete that public safety circle, to bring that together, that were not there and not functioning prior, and that's important too. So also the initiative that we started, the third policy piece we have announced is a high utilizer initiative. And what that is we have determined that a disproportionate amount of individuals have resulted in a large amount of criminal activity. 118 individuals responsible for 2,400 criminal referrals. So that's a significant amount of criminal activity that's referred over to us from a small number of individuals. And we're not focused on the individuals necessarily when I talk about that. We're talking about a criteria, which is to make sure we are not overlooking individuals that are engaged in regular, frequent criminal activity, because it's important to understand it from a victim standpoint, a public safety standpoint, but also it's a lost opportunity to not understand why someone is communicating in the form of a crime. Because if there is a pattern of behavior and activity that is occurring, we need to understand what's going on there. Something is not working for that individual. We need to understand what that is. So every time we just ignore that, we've missed that opportunity to intervene for that individual. So we have focused on that in that initiative. We are now collaborating with King County Prosecutor's Office and Seattle Police Department and King County Jail to make sure that we can meaningfully intervene and stop the cycle of crime and human suffering that's involved in that type of a pattern. And that is work that was not done prior as well. There was not a working collaborative nature between King County Prosecutor's Office and the City Attorney's Office. So we have established regular working groups on that to focus on high utilizer initiative criteria and to improve public safety and understand what is happening in our region, because crime does not stay geographically isolated, and it doesn't necessarily stay in a clean, neat box of this is a misdemeanor and this is a felony. So a lot of times things do not get charged as felonies, they get dropped down because they're declined to be prosecuted as a felony, and they then come to our office at the misdemeanor level. So we are coordinating and collaborating with King County Prosecutor's Office on that, so we can understand what we can do in our role in that public safety circle. So those have been the main things we've done in this first quarter of being here. I am just very honored to be here as the city attorney, the 10th in the history of our city, and yes, the first woman. I don't think I'm I think we've had moms and mayor, right? And we've had other, but definitely the first mom here at City Attorney's Office as the city attorney, and happy to do so, because it's important what we are generationally teaching by the social modeling that is occurring to that younger generation that is being told about rules and following things so everyone can be in close proximity of one another, and understanding why we participate that way, so we can all be together. So those laws are a reflection of our values as society, and so they need to mean something. So it's been a privilege to be here serving so far, and I'm really thankful to do that. So that's my 7:30 p.m. Talk for you. I'm happy to open up for a few minutes and have discussion or comments if anyone would like to say anything.
I'm sure that there will be some questions, Ann. I do have a question for you. So one of the things that we've heard a lot about recently is differences in how judges treat perhaps the same case. How do you, or how can you, or will you work on making sure that regardless of which judge a particular person receives their case, that those laws are meted out consistently, I guess is the right word. I know that the judges act pretty independently on their own, but there has to be something that makes a consistent ruling when you have the same person come before different judges and may get very different outcomes. Can you speak to that at all?
Yes, and I'm not sure if you're referring to kind of the more recent news part that went over about community court specifically, but I'll make sure that we understand the differences there. And so it's important for people to understand, right? Again, an analogy to use is like a relay team. We stand at the ready for when we get referrals from Seattle Police Department. And until then, we are not able to be involved. So when we get that, then we as prosecutors have to determine what to do with that. And that's, again, when we talk about the backlog, those cases that sat for so long are going to be very difficult to prosecute. So that's a lot of the reason why so many of those are going to have to be declined, because of the staleness of the information there. And so our role as prosecutors is to then put forth a recommendation if we file charges of what we think should happen in that case. And then the defense attorney for the accused then says also, their part for that individual. And it is the judge's part to decide what to do. So our part is only at that recommendation. And so judicial officers are at a place where they have to understand both sides, and we cannot influence them, outside of that setting and in that type of a manner. And so when we're talking separately then about community court, that is an alternative, which is set up originally to be for first-time offenders or low offenses. But what had been happening is many of the individuals, even that meet the high utilizer criteria, had been going there too. And so I'm not sure if that's where you're talking about the differences from one judge to another, but that court is set up to be for a different type of case that's going through than what has been going through there. So that might be the distinction you're talking about. But that's our role, is to do that as prosecutors, make those recommendations.
Okay, great. That's probably it. There's some more hands up, so I'm going to go right ahead to those people. Bob, go ahead.
Welcome. I chair the Public Safety Committee, and we've been working various crime and security issues along with fire rescue and emergency preparedness. But on the crime and security front, it's been our experience here in Queen Anne, particularly with issues like the Hillside Motel, which I call the Hillside Criminal Storefront, just south of the Aurora Bridge. And then also on 15th Avenue, the car wash chop shop just south of the Ballard Bridge, as very frustrating, and situations where we have criminal activity occurring, but then because of various reasons, nothing's happened from the city to address these issues, be it policy, decisions not to push because downstream the former city attorney would not do anything about it. And basically what's created is a permissive criminal operating environment. And it starts small, it starts with the misdemeanors, but it builds and it gets bigger and bigger till you get a situation like what we had on the hillside on Aurora. And we try to work these issues, and it's extremely difficult to. And so I'd like you to speak, if you can, to the permissive criminal operating environment issue. And then also, in the hillside example, we tried to get the chronic nuisance property ordinance, used, but Pete Holmes refused to do it. And, it seems like that's a tool in the toolkit that could address some of these issues instead of, some of the difficulties that we have, because each day that nothing happens, for example, with the hillside, the drug use happens. We have young kids with their parents there as they're on the Dexter Underpass Bridge, shooting or taking various drugs. We have, a lot of thefts in the neighborhood to pay for the drugs. We have prostitution, raising money so they can buy the drugs. And so it really balloons. So this idea of a permissive criminal operating environment is something that's really detrimental to our public safety. And the side note too is the chronic nuisance property ordinance that was written up by Tim Burgess. Seems like it's just been thrown to the wayside. And I was just curious about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for your work there, staying so intimately engaged with your community on public safety. And I do hear you, and as I'm familiar with both those locations just from years of living here, not specifically the descriptions, although the hillside, I'm familiar with that just as knowing what you're talking about. And I agree with what you said, that it's when we have allowed that type of behavior to be there for so long, it does grow in severity and frequency, and it becomes kind of its own kind of subset of culture. And then it actually allows others to engage in that same behavior. Again, the laws are a reflection of our values as a society. They do need to mean something. That's if we want to change them, there's a mechanism to change them. But it's important to understand also my role in that public safety circle is after there is a police referral. So I or my office don't have anything to do with operations of police, where they go, when they go, what they do. That's the mayor's department to run. And so we are here after that has been done, and it is sent over to us in the form of a report. And so then we can get involved at that misdemeanor level. We also can get involved, as you mentioned, where there are nuisance issues. And so I would say contact me and let us know more specifics, because I'm not going to be similar of what we had, because it's important to understand when I go out on walkabouts in neighborhoods, which I do frequently, I am shown those types of vacant properties that are become kind of a magnet location for criminal activity. And then we just are creating places where victims are, around waiting, to be one. We don't want to have that.
Thank you.
I see a walkabout in your future.
Yes.
Thanks. Deborah Santos?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just want to say, I want to just reach out and say thank you. I am just so excited, and I'll be blunt. I voted for you, and you are meeting my expectations. I love the approach you're taking. You've got a hell of a job to do, and you're making inroads forward is so important. And you can really make a difference, getting those prosecutors in there that will really do their job versus just sitting on their hands and working with those judges. So I just want to applaud you, and I want to thank you.
Thank you for that. And I do mean it when we talk about the people that were there before me, and that backlog that was mismanagement from the top, right? It's
absolutely, and we all know, and that's why you're in office.
I'm the people who are doing the work, right? It's important that they're thanked. They're invisible most of the time. I'm the one out front, but they're the ones doing the work, and some of the hard work, particularly when it comes to domestic violence. It's a difficult job. Thank you for that.
Do we have anything else for Ann, or are we going to let her go and corral the kids wherever they may be at this moment?
Jasmine had posted a question in chat there.
I'm sorry. Go ahead if you've got.
Oh, you're gonna test my eyesight. You're gonna have to say it, Jasmine.
Yeah, I'll say it.
When I'm on this little iPad, the words are so tiny.
Yeah, no worries. I wanted to let other folks speak up first and everything, since I talked during the last presentation. But I would love to hear more about Operation New Day, and just like your perspective on that, and really how sending SPD to do loss prevention over $10-$30 worth of theft for national chains is an effective use of city resources, and how that's working to reduce the backlog that you're talking about.
Well, those are two separate issues. And as I said just a few minutes ago, I don't direct police operations. That's at the mayor's direction. And so we are just the ones, when it's referred over, they refer it either to the King County Prosecutor's Office if they think it's a felony, or they send it over to my office if they think it's a misdemeanor, and then that's where that goes. So we are only after the fact. And when we're talking about retail theft, how I look at it really is what I've heard when I go out to various locations. It's the employees. That's who I hear from and about, which is it's not just the theft that's occurring now. What is occurring is violence along with the theft, regardless of the dollar amount of things. And was relayed one where a young mom at a large retailer was having nightmares at home because of what she had been encountering at the workplace, really threatening and violent behavior in the process of that. So to me, it's a bigger issue than just talking about low dollar theft items. It's really about workplace safety for people, and that is not should not be normal, usual behavior for someone's workplace. And so it's important to understand that that's a lot of what we're talking about too, is that's accompanying it. Yeah. So the backlog then it would be separate, a completely separate issue, I guess, for that. But we, what I said earlier was with that growth of the enormity of that, if we were to focus completely on that, it would take a significant amount of time, and we would not be able to focus on present day referrals. And to me, again, the way that we start to show that there is repercussions for committing a criminal act is to connect it in a closer time proximity to the response. That's the first step we can do. And again, the longer a case has sat, the harder it is to prosecute. And so we had to make a difficult decision of what to do. So we made a prioritization within that backlog. So that was only for the backlog, but going forward, we are trying to keep the close in time filing, and that includes all types of alternatives in addition to mainstream prosecution. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thanks.
There's another question in chat now. I think you might have answered it, but have you had a response to your request to exclude frequent offenders from community court? I think that's in play right now, isn't it?
Yes, the judges issued a statement, and they connected with us, and we are in always talking in an open dialogue, right? Again, that is the name of all the people that are with me understand that's important to me. We will have no progress if we think we shouldn't be at the table. We need to always be at the table and have conversations. Even if there's a disagreement about it, but if you can't even have the conversation, we're not going to be promoting what's good for the public as a whole. And that's what I'm put here to do, is to make sure that works. So we'll watch how that goes. But we are ready to collaborate for sure.
Thank you. Anything else before we wrap it up? Well, thank you. We appreciate
Thank you.
I know that your professional schedule is going to be crazy, and then your personal schedule on top of it is quite a lot. So thank you again. We appreciate your taking time out of your evening. So
you're quite welcome. And I again feel so thankful, because it doesn't tire me. So I like it better when it's busy. So a good mix. So thank you for your time listening, and reach out with any issues that you need, as we continue. It's important to stay engaged, and I will come on walkabout. That's what I like to do. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Marina Udidick, for making this possible, getting it coordinated.
Thank you, everyone. I'll probably be
Thank you.
contacting you, Paula and Robert, very soon, and we'll get that scheduled.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Okay, golly, now we get to move right into the next step. So there's are there any general things that people have before I launch into the agenda? It's really long, but we'll move as quickly as we can. So very quickly, Seattle One Day of Service projects are, I think everybody has had that information in email. Some of you are already signed up and participating in a project, either that the council sponsoring or the Picture Perfect is doing, or some other organization. If you haven't, and you want to spend an hour of time on May 21st, you can get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with the right person to make sure that you have a chance to exercise your litter picking, cleaning up activity. So let's see. What do we got? We still have Bob is heading up a cleanup on the business quadrant with the exception of Queen Anne Avenue because Queen Anne or Picture Perfect is taking care of that. McLean Park has 2 work crews on that day. That's McLean Park and the Greenbelt. Rogers Park has 2 work crews. Kinnear Park has a lot of people, and I don't know if it's 2 crews or what. We are also asking people to adopt a Queen Anne stairway for the day and do a little cleanup there. Those are kind of individual, and Deb Santos is heading up that project. And the McGraw Street Bridge cleanup, Carolyn Davis is heading up. And then Beth Bonnell and I are heading up the Wallace Wall cleanup. So if you're interested in any of those, let us know and we'll make sure that you get on the list. Okay. The vote tally for the endorsement of the Uptown Alliance ST3 letter was 1 abstention, 1 no, 14 yes, and 5 no responses. So thank you for that. As a footnote, however, I think everybody saw the email that I sent because when the letter actually went out, it didn't include our paragraph. And so I asked the Uptown group about that. They apologized for the oversight. So the letter as it went was fine, but it didn't emphasize the point that we wanted to make, which is that those of us who are not like immediately in the vicinity of a station need to have some sort of easy access to those stations. So that was really the important point. So I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to comment further and we'll make our own comments that time. Let's see what else. Oh, yes. If Creighton Carroll is on, I want to thank him. And if not, I'll just mention it. So Creighton was really instrumental in getting some safety improvements around the John Hay Elementary School. There are now stop signs at many of the corners around that school that didn't have them. So it's safer for kids and parents to cross. So thank you, Creighton. The Elections Committee, Beth, do you want to give us a quick update on the Elections Committee?
Yeah, sure. And by the Elections Committee, we're not talking about the board, our board elections. We're talking about elections going on in Seattle. There's several important seats up for election. We've been talking to Magnolia Community Council about working cooperatively on hosting a forum for the District 36 House seat. We were a big agnostic about whether we wanted to do something pre-primary, but we have decided to cooperate with them to do a pre-primary forum virtually. June 15th is what we're looking at. It'll probably be moderated by their chair. We'll send out more information. If anybody wants to be involved, that's great. I think our focus is also going to be a little bit post-primary. We had great success last year in our role in hosting forums. I think that our really intentional approach to the way we structured them and also the moderators helped us attract both the candidates and also attendance. So anybody who wants to participate, just let me know. It's the same team with Josh, Sean, and Laurel at the helm. I'll put all this in the minute meetings and we can take it from there. Thank you.
Yeah. And also in June and July, we'll be opening our meetings for candidates who want to come and give a 5-minute speech about why they're running and what their background is. So, okay. Oh, Deborah, do you want to mention something about the Crockett Street Pedestrian Plaza project that you attended that meeting about?
Okay, well, you kind of
what it is.
Yeah. So the Seattle Neighborhood Council, yeah, they've got a real handle on the situation. Jasmine joined me in the meeting as well. And I think we're going to get more updates and engagement. And they're actually being very methodical on their approach in looking at how they try to move forward in creating that small pedestrian area right there between, is that Boston Street? Why did I forget? Not Boston, Crockett Street. And so I was very pleased to hear their approach. I see Jasmine has her hand up. But we are going to stay very much engaged with them. And we were very supportive from the Queen Anne Community Council in supporting their go forward plan into pursuing an opportunity to make that a pedestrian area. And there's lots of different issues, you know, that have to be taken care of. And there was talk about even, you know, making the same level. I mean, the meeting was about an hour and a half long, really great discussion. But I was very impressed and on the approach they're taking and the methodology they're going forward on.
Jasmine, what do you add to that?
Just adding that Mark Ostra from Queen Anne Greenways will be at our meeting this month to tell us some more. So come on over to the transportation meeting if you want to learn more.
Great, thank you. That's good to know. Okay, good. Okay, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. The Queen Anne Community Council has the community booth at the Farmers Market on June 9th. And I would like to ask anybody who's interested to please raise your hand and let me know so that we can have more people than just one or two of us there. 3 to 7:30 is when we need people. And in conjunction with that, I have one request that I'm going to make this evening, and I can share my screen if we need to. But what I'm going to ask for is the board's approval to spend $40.67, and I think I calculated that right on the tax, to get some couple of items, especially things that will be attractive to kids, to get the kids to come over with their parents. One is a little keychain flashlight, and the other is an emergency safety whistle. So these are both emergency preparedness little giveaways that we can use to attract people. So we need to vote on that because that's the way our process is laid out. So I would like to ask for a vote on this, and I'm going to start with, are there any abstentions on it? It's $40.67. So any abstentions? Okay, don't hear any. Any no's? I hear none. So since we have a number of board members in the meeting, I assume we can go ahead and spend the money. So thanks for that. And the last thing I have on this list is a reminder that this is okay. Laura Jenkins has released another really extensive update on lists of resources and things that are going on in the city. It's posted, the link is posted on the Queen Anne Community Council website under general information. You can link to that. She's doing this on a monthly basis and it's exhaustive. It's a huge list of really good information. So if you want to just peruse it, it's kind of good resource to look at. And then we're going to move right into our committee reports. And Denny, you're the beginning of the alphabet. And you're muted.
Yeah, as you see in the committee reports, there's the Seattle Comprehensive Plan for Growth for the next 20 years. They're starting to work on that for phase 1. So go ahead and read up on that, and you might want to familiarize yourself. Another thing, Kathleen Wolf was on our last meeting, and it was very interesting. It got a little heavy at times, but other than that, she has some great information about how trees and a little bit of open space and how to balance them with growth and how it affects your mental health and so forth. So that is in our meeting notes. They are online and you can go ahead and read up on it. Some of it gets a little bit heavy, but very useful information and a lot of references to where you can even find more information. So it was pretty intense, but Yeah, I enjoyed it. Hopefully somebody else did. Today, just so you know, I had an interview with Liz. I'll see if I get her name right. Rando. She's from Crosscut. And basically, I wasn't sure what she was going to interview me on, but it ended up being really about the design review board. And more specifically, what I thought, if it was good, bad, how it affected the 21 Boston Safeway project, and so forth. So it was interesting. One of her, which I was surprised by, is it true that the project got held up so much because of the brick that we wanted to pick? And I said, well, that was a question, but no, that's not really it. I said, first off, it went through 3 developers. When Maria came along, she got it moving. And then one of the biggest bugaboo towards the end, which was with the brick, but that wasn't because of the brick, was working out the details of how we were going to make it blend in to the Queen Anne streetscape, and without putting in 6, 7, 8 individual commercial spaces that Safeway wanted no part of. And if they would have had to, we would have held them to it. They probably would have put them on First Street, First East, or just First. And, they would have been empty all the time because nobody goes back there. So that was a little bit of it. And then I didn't want to blame it on COVID, but I told her COVID had a little bit to do with it, but I'm not going to blame it on COVID. So anyway, it was an interesting interview. I don't know how it's going to come out, but anyway, I'll let you know when it comes out and you can see what I said.
Great.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you very much. Don Harper.
You bet. Real quick on parks, not much. Big How, for some reason, I actually talked to the contractor for the lighting for the Big How project last year and had things worked out. And so I don't know what happened, but it went out to bid and they're in the final steps of accepting one of the bids. And so we're looking at a lighting project that they hope will start by June 6th. And it's about a 3 to 4 month project, right? I did try to find out about the community center. If anyone knows, it's open now. I would love to hear, so I don't look like just, totally ignorant about parks. But still, I don't believe, my understanding is, the last I heard was that the community center will not be open till at least the fall. I do have a email in to the project supervisor. So, but haven't heard anything. That's sort of it with parks. And if you don't mind, I'll do Lurk real quick. Is that all right?
Don, before you go, it's Sharon. Before you go
Yeah.
to Lurk, there's a giant sign at the Queen Anne Bowl. I was out of town and I'm sick right now. I haven't been down there. Do you know what's happening there?
Ooh, no, I do not. I'll go down and look. I know that the Friends of Athletic Fields are wanting to put lights back there, and that the wife of the president of the Friends of Athletic Field is on the board of Parks Commissioners. So I'll go down there and look at that sign, see what it is. Usually they come up for, unless it's the track, but usually it comes up when they're going to put in new turf, but that turf is very new. So I will, it's a long ways down there. It's a whole block away. So I will pack a lunch and go down and take a look.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Please let
thank you,
me know.
Sharon.
This is Hannah. I have a question too. I missed last month's meeting. So I don't know if you updated us on this, Don, but I was wondering if we ever kind of got to the bottom of the whole David Rogers, the process. I remember that there was some concern that maybe they didn't follow the process that Parks didn't follow the process that they had outlined. And we were going to kind of look into that. I can also just come to the Parks meeting and chat with you about it there, but I was just curious if we know if there was any update on that.
Well, I would say that the update is that I would say they misrepresented the process quite a bit. Otherwise, if you remember, I encouraged people that they did not have to contact parks, that there's no part in that process that says, that the neighbors or the advocates for were involved in the first step of the process. That the first step of the process is
Right.
solely, in whether it physically could handle it, whether they wanted to consider it. They did not do that. And I did send out an email apologizing for encouraging off-leash people not to petition, like they didn't have to, that this would be the next step. And I'm just sorry that I felt like Parks very much misrepresented them. I did email them, and that was it. Yeah, I just yeah.
Okay, I'll come to the next Parks meeting. I'd like to help out. I mean, again, I don't know what I can do as a council member. I don't want to misrepresent our group, so I'd love to chat with you all about that. But, I was thinking, could we do a poll on next door maybe? Is there any other way that we could represent the support for this project? I know that it's over, but just something that's been top of mind as I've been spending more time in David Rogers Park, and I feel like I'm the only one there.
And I would say that to me, that Rogers Park is dead. We're not. I don't know how we would. I mean, honestly, a lawsuit. You could do a lawsuit and see if that would rattle them enough to want to do it. But I think that would be a very long road up. I think where the place to go now is they're discussing the budget for the Parks District. Okay. And what we need is money for an off-leash area. And then I have done, and Sharon Levine, she and I have done, I can't even describe how many, how long we've tried to do this and how involved we've been. And it's time for parks to come to us and say, this is where the off-leash area can go, because they continue to deny the places that they could go. Yeah. So it's like I'm I got to a point where I realized I was building up people's hopes, thinking that parks would start to, see it, but they don't. They never have liked off-leash areas. It's always been just hard to get them. And but I'm happy to talk with you about it. Yeah.
Great. I'll join the next Parks Committee meeting and we can chat more. I want to help.
All right.
I guess.
All right, cool.
I understand the burnout. I understand the frustration, and like we're all here to help. I'm not burnout right now. I probably will be about this after working on it for a little bit, but I'd love to help in any way.
Well, and really what Parks has said is, go ahead, let your dogs be in Rogers Park. Mm-hmm. Really, that's really what they've said. Go ahead, you down in McLean Park, whatever. Use Big How. It's going to have a nice lights here pretty soon. Go ahead, and it's fenced. Tear up Little How. Really, this is what they're saying, mm-hmm. and it's it's a shame. That's the reaction that'll happen. So I don't complain about dogs in the parks anymore. I don't like it. I don't like them off leash. I wish people wouldn't, but they might as well be in Rogers Park. At least keep them off the play field, because kids do run around and play on those. So I've sort of directed people to McLean Park and Rogers Park, because at least kids aren't going to step in it or roll in it or anything else.
Okay, yep. Sounds like a good Parks meeting for that. So.
All right, so Lurk. Yeah. Thanks, Anna. So Lurk, just real quick, we didn't do one last month, so I'll just catch you up. 290. Yeah.
You mean NAC, I think.
Oh, NAC. What did I say?
Lurk. Yeah, I was.
Lurk.
I think.
It's okay.
Now, Denny, you don't understand. I've taken over.
That's okay. Go for it.
All right. So Lurk is going to have 296 cruise ships. NAC is, there's going to be 296 cruise ships this season. So be prepared. It is good news in the sense that great economic news. And the other thing is that Expedia has gone hybrid, right, to a hybrid meetings, and they're going to start having people show up there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If any of you have been down at the grain terminal to park and go on that beautiful walk down there, you will see all kinds of people with tags around them, almost, like the dog pound. And they're all coming out of that big building and walking around. So they're there and they're doing their thing. That's it. Lurk.
Knack.
Also known as NAC.
Okay.
I'm really stuck. I do apologize.
You had me puzzled too. So, okay, Bob, public safety. Bob? Oh, there you
Hello.
are.
Yeah, hello. I just wanted to this evening highlight our last public safety meeting, which was on emergency preparedness, a very important topic. And it was primarily, well, initially it was with our emergency preparedness guru, as I like to call him, Bill Fay, but we were fortunate to have Captain Collins, who has emergency preparedness and homeland security responsibilities at the Seattle Fire Department, join us, and that was fantastic. And he had sent us an email highlighting things to do as it relates to earthquakes and some general, but then earthquakes that we'll look to get into the newsletter or some other venues so we can get it out to everybody as best as possible. One of the things that we talked about is the hubs, where basically that'll be our link to the city in terms of what's happening on Queen Anne, and then the information flow back and forth, the ham radio operators and so forth. And a thing out of that was needs volunteers. And a side note, to piggyback off the Parks Committee meeting, is that due to the issue of parks related to David Rogers Park, the neighborhood around there, the stewards of David Rogers Park, have gotten very organized and very energetic. And the request was for David Rogers Park, for his neighbors to volunteer and really reestablish the second hub that used to be there at David Rogers Park, to partner with the hub that's at the community center and had that link to the city to get information back and forth related to the impacts of a major earthquake. So for those that are around David Rogers Park, I thank you in advance. If you can reestablish that hub, that'd be fantastic. We also talked about the role Block Watch program as it relates to emergency preparedness by essentially partnering with the SNAP program, which is Office of Emergency Management's program for basically the emergency management version of Block Watch. And obviously Block Watch is well organized, particularly in Queen Anne, and we like to leverage that to basically add SNAP responsibilities in terms of being smart in the event of a earthquake or other disaster. Just quickly, just think about this, 10 essentials per Bill Fay. Make sure you have water on hand, food, you know how to turn off your utilities. You have spare medication supplies and medications, medical supplies. Sanitation is going to be very important. Battery powered or hand crank radios, first aid kits, flashlights with extra batteries, and local maps. And that's just a quick rundown, but just to get your mind thinking about, are you ready if the big earthquake comes, and do you have enough? And by the way, 3 days is not going to be enough. Think more like 3 weeks. Switching from emergency preparedness, I like to go to crime and security element of the Public Safety Committee. And Seattle U is out with their 2021 SPD micro community policing plans. And we will meet with them to discuss them, but they're also, they're already on our website, links to them. So if you'd like to check them out, please do so and see how the results of it's a Seattle U survey that's done each year. And you can see what's going on in the city and Queen Anne broadly. Also, I did not, but Paula had a meeting with Community Service Officer program person and her manager. Currently, community service officers are pretty much those individuals that can work those low-level challenges that we have that are primarily people who are in need of services, and so we can avoid SPD involvement. Right now there's 10. They're looking to up that to 20 and to have that kind of option available to us. Also, as part of Block block watch program, but most people don't necessarily know that. But the night out is coming out in the community, you know, where the neighborhoods get together for their parties and get-togethers. That's going to be on the 2nd of August this year, and we call that night out. Technically, it's night out for against crime. And one note too about the community service officer, they put out some good information that's really related to businesses. You know, having a SPD has a conditions of entry form that if you get signed up with the SPD, it really plays out nicely in terms of SPD responses and also their ability to act after hours and so forth. So that's something that we definitely want our Queen Anne businesses to take a look at. And I think that is it, unless I'm forgetting something, Paula.
I think that pretty much covers it. On the conditions of entry form, Laura Corvey and her husband, Bob Davis, are going to be contacting all the businesses about the business watch and also using that conditions of entry form to familiarize the merchants with that if they're not familiar with it now. So it adds a priority of service, and it also allows the police to remove somebody from the premises even if the owner or operator isn't there, which right now they can't do. So that's an important sort of step up in the urgency of taking care of business when they need to. Okay, anything else? And oh, Jasmine had a question. Was recently released SPU survey data, the 2021 or 2022. What they released was the 2021 SPD micro community policing plan. They are starting in doing their community dialogues, which anyone can participate in. And again, there's a link on our website under committees, public safety. And same thing with LRC. There's a link under committees, LRC, about the comp plan, the Seattle comp plan. So we're trying to put that information so people can get to it. If you're interested in finding out more, take a look at the website. Okay, and I think that's it. So Denny, you got a question, and then we'll have Jasmine talk about transportation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were done. I thought we were about ready to go.
Oh,
I just want to make one quick comment on, since I'm here, Safeway, it's moving along. You can see the signs. Paula sent something out. I was up there yesterday and they were doing some electrical, starting electrical work, it looked like, and they're cutting sidewalks. So beware. I would say my guess at this point would be like the middle of June. You're going to see, I don't see a store closure date yet, but yeah, that's probably when you'll see the big construction start and digging. That's it. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. I when I was there today, I thought, well, I'll go and stock up on some stuff for emergency preparedness since stuff's on sale. So anyway, and somebody, I think they said like June 4th, June 6th, something like that is when they actually anticipate closing the store. So that's all.
Paula, that's what I heard. I asked him tonight.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
June 4th.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Jasmine, transportation.
Yeah, we did not have anything really to meet about this last month, but this upcoming month, we will be meeting. As I said earlier, Mark from Queen Anne Greenways will be coming to tell us more about the Crockett Street project. Let me know if there's anything else that you want me to add to the agenda. We haven't had any updates so far from the city on some of the previous conversations that we've been wanting to move, such as the Boulevard and West Olympic. So there haven't been any updates on that front, but yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about when we're talking about Crockett Street.
That it? There was one thing I posted on the website. SDOT has released a toolkit, they call it, listing a variety of safety implements that can be used throughout the city. And what the toolkit allows you to do, it includes a rough cost estimator and also more information that you can find there. These are just sort of orders of magnitude because it's based on normal conditions, normal solutions, all that stuff. So nothing is ever quite normal. So it's always going to cost more and take longer. Anyway, so you might check it out if you're interested in what a street project might cost, and you can think about a grant. Okay. Miscellaneous items, got a couple of quick ones. The Ballard Football Club, Ballard FC, a new semi-pro men's soccer club, is playing at Interbay Stadium this season. It's on the website, the Queen Anne Community Council website, probably under events, and you can see their schedule if you want to go take in a soccer game. Sounds like fun. Queen Anne Historical Society Awards celebration is Thursday the 26th at the Swedish Club. They sent an invitation to anybody on the council, so please feel free if you'd like to attend that meeting and see. I think there were 6 awards being given, and I think that's all I have. So anything else that anyone has or would like to talk about, or questions?
Oh, can I leverage your point about the Queen Anne Historical Society?
Yep.
I just wanted to highlight that the Queen Anne Historical Society, I'm sure that's on their website or in their newsletter or whatever it may be, has an article regarding Seattle Sacred Wall, which is the memorial wall at Memorial Stadium. This is something that's been brought up before. I've engaged with the Historical Society, partly with my Queen Anne Community Council hat on, but then also my BFW hat. And out of that, I've been connected to the director of Seattle Center. So basically, we're connected to Tim Burgess, who's the mayor's point person for the Memorial Stadium and Memorial Wall, director of Seattle Center. On the left, school athletics, I'm connected with them as well. And so we're pretty well connected with the main players that are going to be pushing the Memorial Stadium and also the Memorial Wall forward. So just a quick update, and you can see that article from Queen Anne Historical Society. I'll defer to you where that was.
There's a link on the website somewhere, and I honestly would have to look, probably under general information, since it's kind of general.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, that's all I have. Anybody else? Anything also we need to touch on? And if not, you'll get the newsletter, and we'll probably have some committee meetings this month, and there's just a lot going on. The city is really getting active, so everybody's getting busy. Is that it? Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.